What is going on, everyone, and welcome to the first crossover episode between both the All Sports All Plays Network and the Man Hour Football Network. This is the Man Hour Broncos edition, sports status podcast, and I have the Indianapolis Colts guy over here on the ASAP Network, Chris Gonzalez. Big sports fan, loves to talk about his Indianapolis teams, but also other things as well. Um, so to go ahead and get started. How are things going over there in on your side of the things?
Oh, yeah, it's going good, man. Been a busy day. Been doing a lot of shows today, but other than that, it's been a good day.
Yeah, it's for me. It's been somewhat quiet, a little bit quiet. But yeah, other than that, it's been a really great day. Oh, I'm sorry, reading the Facebook comment. Um, so to go ahead and get started, news broke out earlier today that Indianapolis Colts starting running back Jonathan Taylor is expected not to play in this game. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm kind of surprised that Jonathan Taylor has not been used as much as he was throughout the first 4 weeks, and I really don't know why. Uh, Chris, do you have any that's gonna hurt first off? But do you have any thoughts on that?
Oh, yeah, it sucks that Jonathan Taylor's going to be out. That's really going to hurt. He hasn't been able to get going yet this year like he did
Yeah,
last year. I think that a lot my bowels have got a message I'm getting from some of the ASAP stuff. But, I think part of the problem with Jonathan Taylor has been very good so far this season. And that's kind of what's hurting us because that's where we spend most of our money, and it's not performing. We've had one of the best offensive line last 3-4 years, and this year our offensive line just hasn't been very good at all. That's been a lot. I think that's been a lot with Jonathan Taylor's problem. He had a great first game. We tied as a team. We didn't do great. He had like 160 total yards from scrimmage. But since then, he hasn't really uh, got off. Especially the last game against the Titans, he had like 20 carries for 40 yards, and then now he has a hurt ankle. That's really going. I think that's really going to hurt the Colts. For one, in the run game, but for two, pass protecting back we have. I like Naeem Hines. He's a decent running back. I like the field. You saw that in the last drive where he got blown up a couple times, and Matt Ryan got sacked. That scares me against a tough Denver Broncos defense that can really get after the quarterback.
yeah, yeah. I will say that has been one of the few strengths that we have. It's been a rough start. It's been a rough start for Denver. Just like what we talked about for Jonathan Taylor, there has been a lot of injuries. Javonte Williams for us is out, hurt with an injury as well, out for the rest of the season. But we also, I think, lost Randy Gregory. We lost Tim Patrick. We lost a lot of players. And even though there were some that just for a couple of weeks, it's still a lot of people. And I think part of that has to do a little bit with coaching. I mean, a lot of things you can blame on this season. I would probably blame on the coach, but Denver's coaching staff is just not experienced, and it's not just the head coach. You look at the offensive coordinator. I mean, there's a lot of coaches this year for Denver Broncos that don't have many years on their belt, and so as time goes on, maybe we see a little bit of development, but that's just that's just going to cause some losses that really shouldn't necessarily be losses. I think there's going to be a lot of teams this year that beat us but really shouldn't have.
Yeah. No, I agree. Some injuries have affected a lot of teams. I think the Broncos. I don't know how you feel about the Broncos. I know you're a big Broncos guy.
Yeah.
I think the Broncos are going to be all right. I think it's just a matter of Russ getting accustomed to the new offensive scheme. And I think as he gets more comfortable, I think the offense is going to look a little bit better. And your guys' defense, I know that they didn't play great last game, but I'll tell you what, they can get after the quarterback.
They
can.
Get
to that quarterback. They can be disruptive.
They've held Denver, with the exception of last game. They have held Denver in. They have held other teams. They have held other teams to 20 points or less. Now, to be fair, I think part of that has to do with Josh McDaniels being a former Denver Broncos head coach. And this is the first time as a head coach that he's faced against Denver. So I think part of that did come into play. But yeah. So I think that's probably why we did so bad last week. And even then, that game was still, 9 points from each other? Yeah, last week was still 9 points from each other. I have to be honest with you. I am not saying that Russ. All those people that are saying that Russ is washed up and all this kind of stuff, I'm not necessarily agreeing, but I can see where they're coming from. I think as time goes on, we really get to find the answer to that.
Yeah, I agree.
The last thing I have to say about Denver before we move on to more Colts topics. Going back to the Russ trade. Going back to the Russell Wilson trade. I do think that this was a great. I really don't like. I like that we got Russ. I don't like the trade. The trade was we just gave up way too much.
Yeah. Yeah, I think another thing that's going to hurt you guys is losing Williams.
Yes, Javonte Williams. That was.
I have him on my fantasy team, so
I had it too. I had it too. Russell.
I think he can be a real good running back for you guys. Honestly, I didn't think Denver gave him enough carries. And I hated to see him get hurt like that now, out for the season.
I have 3 running backs on my fantasy roster. One of them was questionable and out for the game, so I put him on as my bench. But both of my starting running backs are hurt, and they're gone for quite a while. So that means that going into next week, now I got rid of both Javonte Williams and Cordell Patterson from the Atlanta Falcons. But doing that, I ended up picking I can't remember the guy's name from the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Robinson.
James Robinson. I ended up picking James Robinson up, and I also ended up picking another guy up, and I don't remember who he was. But I ended up picking some running backs because I desperately needed running backs because all the guys that I had before possibly won't be playing this next week. And I only say possibly because DeAndre Swift was the other one. And he's questionable for the week. Now, going back into Indianapolis Colts ones, I ended up giving a hot take. I don't remember what show it was. I don't think Frank Wright is going to be starting. I don't think he's going to be the head coach for much longer for the Indianapolis Colts.
I don't either. I think, especially if he loses these next 3 games, because we play the Broncos tomorrow night. Then the Colts' next 2 games after that are division games.
If Colts hadn't won that game against Kansas City Chiefs, and they ended up losing tomorrow, I thought he would have been gone then. I think the Chiefs game did save him a little bit.
Yeah, I think it probably gave him at least an extra week or 2. But if you lose to the Broncos, then I know you don't have Taylor, but then say you get Taylor back and you lose, our next 2 games after the Broncos are the Jaguars and Tennessee again. If you lose them 2 games and you start the year off in your division 0-4-1, I think he's gone.
I think he is too.
I don't see how he survives that. And that's the thing. All the Colts schedule the way they done it. We play 5 or 6 division games in the first 7 weeks of the season. So we've already played 3 division games, and we played 2 more in the next 3 weeks. So we'll have almost all but one of our division games already done. And you can't get if we go 0-4-1 to start our first 5 division games. It's going to be tough to make the playoffs because the best way to get in the playoffs is win your division, which I thought the Colts would have a chance to do this year. But we're going to have to really turn it around now to have a chance to do that. We can't afford to lose any more division games for sure.
We've only played Denver's only played 1 game throughout this division so far, and that's the Raiders last week. Y'all have played every single team at least once, and y'all are going to play 2 more in the next coming weeks. It's just crazy how the schedule comes out. It's coming out, and then looking. We don't have any comments as of right now. Sorry, I was looking to see.
Usually play quite a bit of division games like later in the season, because then if I used to schedule like that to try to get it where the last couple games of the season still matter, so they make them division games. Where like the Colts this year, they're playing almost all theirs early. I think we started the season off with the Texans, and we played the Texans toward the end of the season.
Yeah, it was the last game. I think it's by rule that the Colts and the Texans. It's by rule that there's at least one division game as the last. Every single game is a division game in the last week of the season, so you're gonna get one right there. But I really don't. I think this was kind of a test. If Frank Wright is gone by the end of the season, do you expect? Oh, hold on, Mike Hughes. So do you expect Matt Ryan to be the same way? If the Colts are not having a great season, do you think that they're going to go ahead and change quarterbacks again?
I don't know if they'll change it during the season. I can see them change
not during the season, but like off season.
If they say they lose these next 3 games. Oh, in off season? Yeah, I can see him being gone in off season. They can't find a quarterback that they want to keep. Honestly, what I'd like to see him do is say we lose these next 3 games. I hope we don't. I hope we turn it around. I still think we have a team that can win games. We just have the offensive line has to play better. And I think Frank Wright has to make some better decisions coaching wise. But say we lose the next 3 games, you're basically you're not going to make the playoffs. Why not take Matt Ryan out and put Sam Ellinger in and see what you have in that young quarterback? If you believe in him, put him out there, see what he does. See, and he might be the guy. And if he's not the guy, you know that you're going to have to go in off season. You need to go get you a young quarterback somehow. Whether it's trying to get rid of some draft picks and trading up in the draft to get a quarterback, or who knows? At this rate, we might finish bad enough where we'll be up there at the top of the draft.
Yeah, and as for us,
I just don't want to see him go. I just don't want to see him go after another old guy.
Yeah, I mean that's true too. You guys had You guys had Matt Ryan, and then you also had Philip Rivers. Even though Philip Rivers took you guys to the playoffs, he retired within that offseason. He's like, I'm gone after that offseason. So
I wish he could have stayed one more year on because we should have won that playoff game that he took us to
against the Bills, yes.
And then I'd like to see him stay one more year because he didn't play bad. And like even Carson Wentz didn't play terrible for us last year. The end of the season, we collapsed, but that was basically the whole team. I would honestly, it hasn't all been Matt Ryan's fault. He's turned the ball over too much. But some of those are blindside hits where the offensive line don't block nobody at all, and he don't. Like the one on Sunday, he was trying to throw the ball, and his arm got hit before his arm was going forward, and it's a turnover.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, you're getting something like that. He had one interception where him and which not in that game, but where in that game his interception where he tried to throw the ball off the defensive guy, and the lineman tipped the ball up in there and then came down with it. So you know what I mean? So it's interceptions like man, it's turnovers like man, it's a bad break, but also at some point he has to take some blame for it as well. But he hasn't played terrible when the offensive line is getting time. I mean, what's crazy is the Colts have a top 10 offense right now in the league.
A lot of things are going on this crazy through the league, but yeah, that is definitely one of them.
We have a terrible record, but we have a top 10 offense. It's like,
Jared,
and our best weapon hasn't even got going this year in Taylor.
I mean, looking at Detroit, Jared Goff is leading the league in touchdown passes right now, and he's last, and they're last in the Lions are last in the division. It's because of that defense sucks. So this season is just really weird. Now, heading it back into some Denver topics real quick. Do you, if this season continues to come out really, really bad, especially on the road games, because I noticed that even throughout the preseason, and I know Bills game, they started their starters, we put our backups in the preseason. I get that. I get preseason. But I've also noticed that every home game that we've had so far was a win. And every road game that we played was a loss. I think that also goes back to the coaching staff as well.
Yeah.
And if this continues, would you say that this Broncos trade was probably one of the worst in NFL history? This rush trade?
Say that again.
Would you expect if they played more games like this last Sunday against the Raiders, would you expect the Broncos this would be one of the worst trades in NFL history?
I think it depends on how the season finishes. I think I don't necessarily think they lose this next game. Like if they lose tomorrow night, but I think if they keep playing the way they have been playing, and Russ hasn't played no better than what he's been playing, because people can blame it. People want to say Hackett's not a good coach, so I'm not saying he's a good coach, but you can't blame it all on Hackett either.
Yeah,
Hackett's made some bad decisions. I agree with that 100%. He got that job because they thought they were going to get Aaron Rodgers. But also, Russell Wilson hasn't been Russell Wilson. He don't want to run. He don't want to run the ball. And him running the ball and being able to run around the pocket some is one of the things that made him great. And if he takes that weapon away and he's just going to try to be a drop back passer, not saying that he can't throw the ball, but him being shorter for one, it helps when he gets out of the pocket because you can see better. And also the threat of him running the ball, it makes the defense keep a guy on him, and then that's easier for your receivers to get open. But right now, there's no threat of him running the ball anymore. But yeah, I agree. Now, if he keeps playing the way he has so far all season, it could end up going down as one of the worst trades.
Yeah, Geno
Geno Smith is outplayed Russell Wilson so far this season.
outplaying throughout both. I mean, Russ has one of the worst quarterback ratings. Looking at that stat, QBR, just I think he's 20.
Broncos fan. Let me ask you this: as a Broncos fan, do you think Russ's numbers down is because it's a new offense, a new situation, or do you think maybe he's starting to get a little older and
Yeah.
And Taylor didn't have no touchdown. But, hey, they got the 20 points.
Yeah, so my last thing before we give this a close, actually kind of related to what you said. There were two games that I actually got. One game where I was dead on the, I nailed it on the score. Not a Broncos game, but it was a nail on the score. And there's one game where it was 1 point off, and it just, it kind of infuriated me.
Here's a good question for you, real quick. If the Broncos make the playoffs, do you think Hackett still loses his job?
No, I don't. Because if Broncos end up making the playoffs, you might see a little bit of questionable decisions, but I think that's going to improve.
I agree. If they make a wild card, at least a wild card spot, I don't think he gets fired. It's hard to fire a coach that makes the playoffs. I mean, you know what I mean? Especially if he's in his first season. I think they'll start to get it on. I really do.
I mean, the Raiders fired theirs. But he was an intern head coach, so I mean.
But like I said, Arizona Cardinals fired theirs, and he wasn't an interim coach.
That's true. All right.
I don't think they made the playoffs either.
Oh, I don't think they did. They did.
They had terrible because that's when they were starting Rosen. That was Rosen's rookie year or whatever.
That's true. Yeah, that's
Coach Ian Rosen, and then got Kingsbury and Murray.
That's true because I remember so many things from that Cardinals roster, and I don't know why. That year, the Cardinals went 3-13. That was the first year that they drafted two. Those two drafts were the first years where they drafted a quarterback in the first round twice in back-to-back years. And they drafted a wide receiver in the second round for back-to-back years, and they were the first team to do that. And for some reason, I remember way too much about that Cardinal season. I have no idea why. This is the thank you, Chris, for coming on. This is the first official episode of the ASAP and Man Hour crossover. Probably might be doing this again.
Where can you find Man Hour at?
The Man Hour Football Network can actually be found on the Man Hour Facebook page. It can be found on the bunch of trash talking Facebook groups, but for this one will probably be posted into AFC South Trash Talk and AFC West Trash Talk. It can be found on Roku TV. It can be found on YouTube. And it can also be found on Broncos Edition Facebook group as well. I'll post the links in both on both StreamYards after the show is done to all of this. As for the people that are watching Man Hour, you can find the All Sports All Plays Network on multiple TV platforms, including Roku. You can find this on ASAP on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and then we'll go ahead and do Sports Status. You can find that on Facebook and Twitter, and then and now as for the Gonzo Sports Room, where can you find that?
Gonzo Sports Room you can find on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. We're also on Twitter as well, but when we go live, it's usually on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch.
Okay.
On Twitter, I post all our information for every show on social media, either on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. If you go to our Facebook page at Gonzo Sports Room, you'll be able to find all of our shows. We do a lot of pro wrestling, not any sport. We cover all kinds of stuff. I got a sports betting show, and all my shows are also on the ASAP All Sports All Plays Network as well.
Okay.
There's a lot of ways to find our shows.
All right. This has been another episode of the Sports Status Podcast and the Man Hour Broncos edition, and another episode for Horseshoe Talk. Well, pretty much all these three shows could pretty much combine into one.
Let's say one more thing, Nate.
Yeah.
You can find Horseshoe, if you're a Colts fan, you can find Horseshoe Talk Mondays and Fridays at 6 p.m. Eastern at the Gonzo Sports Room Network or All Sports All Plays Network, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. And then also, we will be live tomorrow night for the Colts Broncos game doing a watch along at 8 p.m. tomorrow night. So if you're a Colts fan or even if you're a Broncos fan, you just want to talk some football, come join us tomorrow night, 8 o'clock Eastern time. Oh, Nate, if you're not doing anything and you want to jump on,
I might be actually. What time's the game start again? Is it 5:20?
Yeah, be like 5:20 your time.
I might hop on the middle of it, but I have school, so.
Yeah. I understand. Like I said, if you're free and you want to hop on, you're more than welcome to. That's going to be me and Dad so far. I don't know if anybody else is going to get on or not, but we usually go live. If we're not, we try to go live for every Colts game if we can. We could go live for Colts and Chiefs games. We have a pro wrestling show that day. We'll be live about 8 p.m. tomorrow. Games will start at 8:15, 8:20. So we'll go live about 8 o'clock. Do a little pregame stuff, and then we'll jump right into the game.
And then, as for sports status, be going live. It would be me, Dustin, Cole, and Logan. Dustin, who actually has been a lot of stuff over for you, actually, Dustin Reese.
He does. Me and him do a baseball show together every morning.
So he actually, we talked a little bit, and he's gonna be joining me on Mondays, mostly every Mondays, unless if I'm working, because my schedule is really not the same every week. So it's going to be mostly the four of us are going to go live. Yeah, it's Mondays every Monday at 8.
Cole jumped on the morning.
Yeah, the morning show. Yes.
8 your time?
Yes, it's 10 too. And then
Cole jumped on it one day. Dustin does the baseball show with me. We do it 9 a.m. Eastern Monday through Friday. And, it's always a good time. We'll be talking baseball playoffs, so you're more welcome to join. Anybody that's watching this, you can find it at the All Sports All Plays Network or at the Gonzo Sports Room Network. Either one. YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch every morning, 9 a.m. Eastern.
Yeah, and this every weekday we usually either talk everything NFL, previewing the week, and we also cover college football. But when we cover college football, we stick it to 3 teams. Cole is a huge TCU fan, so he covers some of this TCU stuff. I cover my BYU Cougar stuff, and Dustin will.
Big game this week.
Yes, it does. And as for now, this has been Nate and Chris signing out on both shows. See you sometime. See you probably talk about something after the game. I'll probably do another show after the game for this. Okay.
One more thing. I'll be live tonight at 11 p.m. Eastern with Gonzo and Judge Sports Talk with myself.
Okay.
We cover all kinds of sports. We'll start at 11 p.m. Eastern tonight. We're live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So, hey, if you're looking for something to watch tonight, come join us.
Okay. And